Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and thank you for returning to watch yet another episode of our War in the Pacific Let's Play series against XTRG. This is the first time we've ever done a multiple episode run for a single turn. This is part 2 of our 35th episode. We just fought the battle off New Caledonia with several heavy cruisers versus Japanese battleships. The battle actually didn't go too terribly badly for us. We're not quite sure how badly our ships are hurt, so maybe that's a little bit premature. But we do know that we did substantial substantial damage to a Japanese task force off the coast of New Caledonia, and we know that our cruisers, for the most part, weren't sunk. So this episode, we'll take a look at the damage done, we'll plan our escape, or we'll try and see if we can plan our escape, and we may be in for a rude surprise that the Japanese aircraft carriers may be just around the corner. This is not going to be the norm. Don't expect hour-long episodes and multiple episodes for every single one of these. I know I've done that the last two, an hour-long last time, 2 hours this time, split into 2 episodes. Again, that's not the norm. This was just one of the rare occurrences in this game where you get a massive sea battle, so I wanted to show it in the last episode, which meant kind of shortchanging the actual orders phase as well. So I would expect our next turn is probably, well, depending on what happens with these cruisers escaping, we may have a long turn next time, but then after that I would expect us to return to the 30-minute episodes. That being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump back into the live stream, and I'll catch you guys at the end. All right, so let's jump back in and let's take a look. Like I said, that was the longest actual lengthwise battle that I've ever seen. So I'm going to assume our ships are all out of ammo. I'm going to guess Tortuga or XTRGs are also all out of ammo. So that's at least good. But let's go in and let's see the real result of the Battle of Belop Islands. You can see our cruisers are actually engaged to the east of the islands. Looks like some of his ships may have fallen back west toward Belop itself. You can see here, this is our task force. There is no E next to it, which is good. Means that no one should be super badly hurt. So there's quite a bit of system damage, but very little flotation damage on any of the ships. The worst in flotation situation is Etzel. Also good news that the engine damage is light to moderate, and the fire damage is non-existent. There's no fires really ongoing on the ships. We can all make at least 24 knots still, so that's also very good, which means we have a pretty good likelihood of speeding our way out of here. Now, the only thing that I'm not so sure of is the fact that it looks like the route that it wants me to take is directly to the west, to the southwest. And while maybe that's the most straight shot out of... What is up here? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, oh, fuck. If this intelligence is to be believed, the Kirubutai is back. We saw it moving north toward Truk about 3 days ago. I thought we might be safe, but obviously he's moving south now in an effort to catch us. What's that range right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does anybody know offhand what the range is on his aircraft? 8's kind of long, but he's going to be faster than me too. That's the other problem. The Zero can definitely get there. I'm not worried about the Zero, though. Zero can't drop bombs. The Kate has a range of 9 hexes at extended, 7 at normal, so it can't drop its torpedoes at the current range. Obviously, things will change. Ships are going to move around. But at current range, it would not be able to drop torpedoes on us. It would be able to drop bombs, but it doesn't need torpedoes. We're a small enough task force that if it finds us, we're fucked. Now, this is the most straight shot out, but it's also the most likely to get us intercepted by some of his shipping in Belop and slow us down. So I'm thinking what we might actually do is set a waypoint and head south toward Nomaya or past Nomaya. So that way what we would do is we would head south and then around New Caledonia. We would set speed to full. We still have a pretty good fuel situation. We did move last turn on full, but we're still over 50% fuel. Everything is green. And actually, if I move full, I can get all the way back to Sydney on full steam ahead, full speed. So we have enough endurance to get all the way back to Sydney at full speed. The only question I have is how many hexes can I move in this turn? You guys mentioned in my last video that there was a spot where it will tell you how many hexes I can move. So how do I know, like, how far away can it? And the other thing is, my thought is if I'm moving this direction, he's moving southeast, so maybe he's moving to Espiritu Santo, but he's probably going to sprint south. I don't know. But to me, the best route is to move south and around rather than moving west. West, I think I'll get slowed down by the Japanese islands here.
could scatter. That is an idea. And actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll have the Canberra and the Edsel, which are... there's a 2-knot difference. I don't know if that makes a difference in how fast it can get away. I have no aircraft based on New Caledonia. I could sprint east to Fiji, where we have aircraft, but certainly not enough to do any damage against the Kido Butai. So I think what I'll do is we're going to attach the Edsel and the Canberra and the New Orleans. So we're going to split into 2 task forces. And we're going to set destination. I'm still going to... I think the southern route is best. No. I have battleships, but not near Australia. All right, so I think we'll split into 2 task forces. The New Orleans and the Canberra and the Edsel, which are the most damaged and slowest of the ships, will head in this direction. And the Australia, Perth, and Alden, which are a little bit faster, will head just a little bit further east and then west as well. So they're basically running parallel courses, but the shorter, more direct route is for the slower ships, and the slightly longer route is for the slower ships. And I think that's what we'll do. I don't know if we want to scatter like 1 ship per task force. I feel like it would be kind of fun to send like a single destroyer north against the aircraft carrier, see if they pick it up and bomb it to hell. But that feels a little bit gamey to do something like that. I don't know. Meanwhile, the Porpoise is heading toward Espiritu Santo, and she is also a submarine that maybe she can get in the way. Maybe she can react, find the enemy, and engage with the carriers in time. We also have the Permit, which we're also going to send north to try and engage with the enemy carriers. We'll set react to 1 there too. So these guys are going to go to 2 different hexes, and maybe we can get a good shot on the carrier there with our defective Mark 14s. You think absolute direct is the best route? Set 0 react? But what if the question, Belugan, is what if he reacts to me? Because if he reacts to me... Absolute direct. Clear waypoints. Direct, absolute. I'm just worried if he reacts to me. Like, yeah, because if we're going to move through BLOP, then we're going to get engaged. And if we get engaged, we slow down, don't we? Oh, you still think I should have the waypoints? Do you guys think it's the best? What do you guys think is the best route to swing south directly toward Nomaya and then toward Australia? Because at least in this direction, if he's going to... So I guess here's the key. If he does not pursue at flank speed, if he does not commit to burning and guzzling his fuel and taking large system damage for his carriers, these guys are going to sprint out of his range before he can launch a strike, I think. If, on the other hand, he sets his aircraft carriers to sprint and come after us, he may catch us, but in so doing, he will probably burn more fuel than he is comfortable with this far south. And if we make him burn more fuel, that only exacerbates the problem of operating this far south. He has no fuel to speak of at Espiritu Santo yet. The port facilities there are too small anyway to operate his carriers out of, so he needs like replenishment. Now, he probably has something with him, but if he was withdrawing his carriers north, that tells me either he was pulling back to truck because his fuel situation isn't great in the south, or he was pulling back to a refueling task force that was with him that he was refueling from. But if he just refueled from a refueling task force, if we force him to burn an excessive amount of fuel again, I think that's good for us because at the very least, it's going to complicate his logistical process and slow down his advance in New Caledonia. Now, as a reminder, it also looks like whatever troops he was sending to Koumac fell back to Espiritu Santos, that task force we engaged that had troops on board. Looks like they fell back because they didn't land, unless they're up here. But in any event, we prevented them from landing this turn and strengthening. He still only has 2 units and 3,400 soldiers there. We don't really have enough to throw him back, but we have enough probably to hang on by the skin of our teeth. We've got 77 assault value, 50 morale, really bad experience, 30 experience at Koumac. And we've got level 1 forts building up to level 2. Nomaya, we're at level 2, I think it is, building toward level 3. Got a little bit more supply at Nomaya. We've got a reasonable strength garrison, nothing too strong, but something to at least make him more than enough to deal with whatever he has now on New Caledonia. Yeah, my Coast Watchers claim they spotted tankers up near Shortland. Really just one. We got the Pike pulling back. How's the sub off the coast of... What was it? Was it Seawolf or was it Seal? Or what was the one that was getting pounded by depth charges? Was it Stingray? Seal? Seal took quite a bit of damage. 31 float, 21 system. She's going to be out for a while. We'll pull her back to Singapore. That's a lot of damage for a sub to take. We'll replace her in line down there with the Seawolf. Okay, so the plan at Nomaya is to have these 2 cruiser forces sprint south. All right, these guys need to set their react to 0, so they had react set to 6. They'll do direct and absolute, and they're going to run the route that we ordered them to. So these guys are going to run, I guess, actually more direct. The more direct waypoint would be setting it further west, right? I don't know, though, so just out of curiosity, guys, does moving like on this kind of an angle slow me down at all? And is there any way to know how many hexes I can move this turn? Does it tell you? Does it give you a flat out number of hexes you can move? Is there a spot on here where I can see that? Where would it tell me that? Movement 5, cost 5, but that's in fuel, right? Where does it tell me how many hexes I can actually move? Neuhauser, you're getting ads? Well, I don't have the ability to run ads on Twitch. By the way, Neuhauser, if you got here, you just missed a massive naval engagement. And thank you for the subscription, Neuhauser, as well. We're up to 7 subscriptions on the night, guys. I really appreciate it. We have split up the task force a little bit. So we've got slightly slower ships in one task force and slightly faster ships in the other, but there really isn't a huge speed difference. It's about, 5 knot difference between the slowest in the one and the other. On the tractor. You farming right now? But can someone tell me, is there... Cruise max 5.5, so that's 10 hexes. Is that 10 hexes for the whole day or per phase? So the other one is 6, which would be 12 hexes, right? So if that's 5 in the first phase, that means these guys can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not very far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the other guys can move... These guys have 6. They can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. You say go to New Zealand? The only problem is I don't have any fuel in New Zealand right now. I already had heavy cruisers sap all the fuel there. But I guess that might actually be a safer route. What if in the event... I've got a lot of shipping... the one other advantage that we have here is we do have quite a bit of shipping to the west here. Actually, that's a more direct route to straight south also. Do we have enough fuel to get there, though? Yeah, we do. All right, we've got enough fuel to move to New Zealand on full speed the whole way. Not going to run full speed the whole way. We also have some other shipping in this area. So we have some patrol gunboats and a cruiser mine layer on the way to Koumac to lay mines. That seems like a bad idea at this point. This guy's probably... He's only worth 6 I mean, I was trying to lay mines to prevent additional landings. But at this point, they're probably just going to get fucking sunk. These guys are moving to Koumac to unload. So actually, we're moving an AMC to Nomaya to carry some fuel or supply to strengthen that because they don't have a ton of supply. Now, this guy's worth quite a bit. He's worth 27 victory points. So let's actually not move you there. I don't want to move you into a forward combat zone. You're worth too much. So we'll move you back to Melbourne. We'll move you at mission speed. What about this guy? This is another AMC that we had been moving to Nomaya, but with the Koumac on the way back south here, I think we need to pull it out as well. We'll move him south to Melbourne also. Back on mission speed. The one thing is, this other task force over here, so they're worth 2, 2, or 6, 2, 2, 2, 2. So I hate the idea of sacrificing a minesweeper, but what if we take these 3 patrol gunboats and move them to Koumac? They're not going to do much. They're probably just going to die. They only make 16 knots. They only have 4.7-inch guns. But it's at least a hindrance. Or do we consider maybe sending them on a direct course? And send them on flank speed? Can they make it there? They can make it there. They can't make it back on flank. Well, the sub has to load with mines. The mine layers need absolute direct. Weather. Whoops. How do I check weather? What do I do with weather? Weather is... Is this weather? No, that's terrain, right? Yeah. What's the weather? Ooh, I got nice fancy music now. Probably gonna get like a copyright strike or something. Weather. That's 3. Oh my god, where did this weather come? This music just came out of nowhere. T. Is T for thunderstorm? Is T thunderstorm? Because if that's a thunderstorm, that's good for us. It's cloudy up there. What's the forecast show? It says forecast is down here. It's thunderstorms in the South Pacific. That could work to our advantage. Huh. Huzzah! Maybe we will escape. So what do you guys think? Should I send... It was totally planned to Belugan. I saw the 7-day weather forecast. I knew there was thunderstorms coming in. I was like, go cruisers, go! No, I had no idea. Mine layers. Do we send them to Koumac? There's a good probability they'll at least intercept any bombers that he has going. But, if they move this far, by the afternoon, they'll probably be in range of the Koumac. Moonlight's 42%. How do I tell the moon situation? Where do I know what the moon phase is? More music! Yeah, I don't know how to tell the moon phase, if it's waning or waxing. It is January 10th. The date is January 10th, Belugan. It doesn't say in-game, so I'm searching for something that doesn't exist. All right. Well, that's good to know. Hey, we crossed the 1,000 followers platform, or plateau, the other day. Plateau, no. $1,000 follower milestone, not plateau. It will continue forever. If the Koumac is coming in this area, I probably should get some of these ships out of here too, right? I mean, like, most of my ships have missions. These guys are all moving east, right? Unloaded Suva. San Diego. San Francisco. Melbourne. Auckland. San Diego with a bunch of... Oh my god, this task force, if he found this task force with the Kido-Butai, oh, that would be a painful day. Look at all those troop transports. If I lost that, I think I would cry. I mean, I think I would cry. Look at all the victory value in this single convoy. Ooh, no escorts either. No one tell him to put subs along this route. I think they're far enough south right now, Belugan. Can always, like, ditch them into New Zealand and hide them there. Charcoal, if anybody tells them where that convoy is, I will come after them with a meat cleaver. The funny thing is that I had these other heavy cruisers that I could have sent into that battle as well. And I actually held back. There's a heavy cruiser at San Diego, or at the Minneapolis. Those of you may remember the Minneapolis had like 10 system damage when I was looking at moving that task force out. So she's doing a little bit better. She's almost repaired. She's down to 4. But I was going to send the Minneapolis in with that cruiser force as well, but elected not to, so she could sit back and repair. Same thing for, or maybe it wasn't the Minneapolis. There was another ship I was going to send too, but I didn't. Oh, by the way, you guys, the mine layer, the Chevreau, which was the hero of the other day, the French mine layer that intercepted an entire Japanese invasion convoy and inflicted over 300 casualties on it, has made it back to Australia. She is at Brisbane, so we'll go ahead and disband her there, and she can repair at Brisbane. Repair. All right, it's going to take a week to repair her. Meanwhile, we also have an AKL, which needs to repair as well at Brisbane. She's in no condition to move. So we'll set her to repair as well. And then we've got the troop transport, which is not really worth much. She's small and slow. But let's get all of these guys out of here. Got a small cargo force that was going to be going to Nomaya to bring in like 10,000 extra supplies. We probably should hold that. They're currently loading up at Brisbane. So they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. It's going to be at least another day before they're ready to go. Obviously, I don't want to send them to Nomaya if the Kido-Butai is sailing around, so we'll have to see what to do with them. We definitely don't want them set to flank if that's their mission. No, they're at mission speed, so. AP armor piercing? Yes. No name, what are you talking about? True and false intelligence? The American battleships? The American battleships are mostly damaged. We've got this one battleship task force heading into Midway to bombard it with the Nevada and the Oklahoma, 2 survivors of Midway that are already fully, or of Pearl Harbor that are already fully repaired. We also have 2 more battleships that are repairing at Pearl Harbor right now. The California and Tennessee both will be out of action for about a year. But once we get those float damage numbers down, we may send them back to the mainland, because my understanding is the mainland shipping is more efficient at repairs. We have 3 battleships at San Francisco. Actually, is it 3 or 2? Did it just say 3? I thought it was 2. It says 3. 3 battleships in San Francisco, the Maryland and the Arizona, both repairing. Maryland's going to take 71 days, Arizona 132. We have the West Virginia coming out. We're going to move her north because I don't have enough. I'm going to get too many penalties for repairing too many battleships in San Francisco, so I'm going to move her to another port. She should be out of action for about 2 months. This is all from Pearl Harbor damage. And then we have 1 battleship that just... No, wait. Is it San Diego? No, she hasn't gotten to San Diego yet. The Pennsylvania is closing in on getting to San Diego. It's at 57 float. She'll probably be out of action for about a year. So we actually didn't get hit too badly at Pearl Harbor. We haven't lost a single battleship sunk. We have lost a lot of battleships damaged, but we've lost no battleships sunk. Meanwhile, we know we sank the Haruna, Japanese battleship. Congo, we did not sink. This is just bad fog of war. She only took one torpedo hit. There's no way that we sank her with that. She didn't even get hit by a 500-pound bomb, at least as far as we could tell. So I don't know where that came from. Ship sunk last turn. Let's take a look. Last turn, we claimed the Kashima, which we saw go down. The AV Kyoka Maru. We lost the Ceres, and we lost the cargo ship Wharton off the U.S. coast, the cargo ship Don Isidro off Johnston Island, and the destroyer Barker near Belop Island. So we lost 2 ships of our own at Belop, a light cruiser and a destroyer. Japanese lost a light cruiser and an AV, as well as several other ships damaged, probably to the point that they have to withdraw for repairs. Nuclear Weasels is the shipyard with the nuclear weasels. I don't know what that means. Glad to see the search arc. Search arc of what? Sorry. I have no search arc off the West Coast. All of my aircraft off the West Coast are basically training, which is probably why I'm doing nothing against submarines. So I'm guessing what you're suggesting is that I should do submarine sweeps, ASW patrols. I should just hand this over to you, Belugan, but I know you've already declined. Set on map. Problem is, these aircraft have, like, no search radius. What are you going to do? You were basically worthless, Kingfisher. You're worthless. I don't think there's a shipyard there. The Navy base next to San Francisco? Alameda or Mare Island? Mare Island probably has shipyards. 90 repair shipyards. San Francisco has 140 repair shipyards. So actually, we're going to move the other battleship to Mare Island. They can repair there. Yeah, well, Charcoal, the game has San Francisco have bigger repair shipyards than Mare Island. So, all right, so this, let's see. I do have some YMSs, I think. Or we have YPs. These were assigned to ASW work. They're not very good, though. They're level 1 ASWs. I don't know if I have YMSs yet. I don't think so. Got a PC. Send him south. Convert them. Convert the YPs? Or other ships? Those are minesweepers, I thought. Are they better at ASW? They have no anti-submarine capabilities. I ain't gonna do that. Nothing I have is good yet. That's not true. There are a few British ships are good. British destroyers in general are good at ASW. So actually, if we go back to Cape Town, we can see we have the Thanet, which is only a level 2 ASW, but she's there. And then we have the Scout, which is under repair, also only 2. Interesting. And then we also have the the Express, also here, which is actually very good, level 8 ASW. She's part of the E class. And they'll both be repaired inside a week. The big one that's repairing here is the Repulse, which is still 117 days away. So 4 months. The Repulse made it. She escaped, but she's going to take a while to repair. In addition to the Repulse, we have on the way the Prince of Wales, which escaped. She will probably be out of action at least a year with that amount of damage, but she is not at the bottom of the ocean. She took multiple Japanese long-range torpedoes and survived to get back to port, hopefully. I don't think they can sink when they're off map, so my assumption is she makes it back, but with quite a bit of damage. Each turn is 1 day. In terms of how long it takes to issue all the orders you need, that can take a while. I haven't really done anything yet this turn. I will probably not do much on stream. We'll probably wrap up in the next 20 minutes or so. But Prince of Wales is not at a port. She's off map, transiting. We have some ships up here that I'm moving south for ASW reasons. So we've got a Corvette, which is a level 4, a British Corvette, a Flower class, which we're going to use to try and help clean the U.S. coast of enemy subs. We've also got some British mine layers of the Bangor class, which are also pretty decent at anti-submarine warfare. So we're going to use those to clear the U.S. coast of Japanese subs. We've got a second Corvette also heading south here, the Chilwick and the Sigento, which are going to be moving south. And then another Corvette, the Quincy, and then 2 more mine layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up basically 4 or 5 ASW patrols that are going to be sweeping the waters near San Francisco and San Diego. And then at that point, we're going to switch over our PBY Catalinas to start doing some more active patrols against the submarines as well. It is a long war. It is slow as a glacier. Belugan, that is still one of my favorite videos that I've ever done, Operation Glacier. Let's see here. Loading supplies. Got a lot of convoys moving around. These guys going to Perrin Island. These guys going down. Actually, these guys are coming back inbound to San Diego. We've got some fuel on the way to Christmas Island. If we take a look here, our carriers, it doesn't look like the Japanese have any aircraft at Midway, based off our bombing raid not detecting anything. Midway is big enough that it could fly some aircraft in there. I guess the question is, does it warrant just pulling out? Look at our pilots here. That last raid doesn't look like it did anything for any of their experience, unfortunately. Some of these guys, well, no, that wasn't that raid. Yeah. The raid on Midway didn't do anything for any of their experience, unfortunately. Part of me kind of wonders if we should pull out of Midway. He could... I doubt it. He'd have to hop from Wake to Midway. There's no way he could come straight in from Kwajalein. So we probably have at least one more turn of no worries of error at Midway. Carriers are sitting off the coast here. We know his Kido Butai is elsewhere. So it does make me kind of want to send our battleships in to bombard them. Bye, No Name. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. The other 2 battleships, by the way, are up here at Seattle. They're currently undergoing refits. So the Colorado is upgrading, or one of them's undergoing refits. The Colorado is upgrading. It has 14 more days to complete its upgrade. It added a surface search radar and an air search radar. It was its January 1st upgrade. So that adding those radars is a pretty big deal for the Colorado. The Warspite is also based out of Seattle right now. And she already has surface search radar and air search radar. So in about 2 weeks, when the Colorado is done, she'll have a little bit of system damage we have to repair, but maybe in about 3 weeks, then we'll have 2 battleships at Seattle to move out to add to the 2 battleships by Midway. So we'll have 4 battleships in the Central Pacific, and then we also have some battleships coming online soon from the Royal Navy as well. Meanwhile, he still isn't doing anything in Singapore. If we go back to Singapore here, I think what we're going to do, actually, now that we have nothing between us and them, I'm going to start pulling out my my units from Mersing, and we're going to pull out of Mersing, and we're going to basically give Mersing up, mainly because, 1, it's going to take a few turns to move south to Johor Bahru, and 2, Mersing has no airfield to speak of, very limited port capacity, and I actually think it would take him longer to send transports around the Malay Peninsula to pick his troops up from Taiping and then to move them south and around to Mersing. So I don't think there's any real feasible way for him to move that, not to mention they'd come within range of our torpedo bombers, which he has not yet eliminated. So for that reason, I am going to start pulling out of Mersing, and we're going to pull back to Johor Bahru. Some of these units aren't in the best of shape, which is unfortunate because we really do need a strong defense of Singapore to kind of help us out. So we're going to set everybody to follow. And I think we'll keep these guys in combat mode. So they will move, but they're going to move more slowly because I think we have a few days. We don't want to give away the fact that we are moving. Some of these guys already are issued orders to move. The 22nd Australia has already been issued orders to move. It's good to see they're recovering a bit, though, because they were down to like 2 active squads after some of those failed attacks at Mersing. So they are starting to recover some of their strength, which is good to see. This is the bulk of our defense, by the way, of Singapore. We have just shy of 800 assault value here at Mersing, which is going to fall back to Johor Bahru. Johor Bahru has 1 brigade in good strength, the 22nd Indian Brigade. And then we have basically nothing. We have some artillery, but other than that, we have basically nothing at Singapore. So all told, we've got about 1,200 assault value in the Singapore defensive area. Singapore is building its defenses up. It's probably going to be to level 4 before anything shows up. But that's not a very strong force to deal with him. More than 2 divisions and we're toast. The question is just how long we can hold. The good news is that it's already January 10th and he's nowhere near Singapore. So he probably won't be able to vest Singapore for, like 2 weeks probably? And then we're talking end of January, which kind of gets into historical timelines. I don't know how long it can hold out. It has a reasonable amount of supply. It has 45,000 supply there. But I don't know what's realistic to hold there. Batan's in a lot better shape. Batan has 1,700 garrison. We pulled the troops back. I didn't actually look to see if the PAF got out. Doesn't look like it. So maybe those units were really destroyed. But in any event, Batan has 1,700 strength, 54,000 supplies, about to get to level 4 fortifications with more than its supply limit. So I think Batan's in pretty good shape. Biggest thing with Singers is it delay signals is he isn't going for a 42 auto win. He might still be going for a 42 auto win, Belugan. I think the fact that he hasn't gone aggressively at Singers speaks more to his lack of experience than it does his actual strategy. The auto win thing is like a victory point thing. I think it's if he has more than double the Allied victory points at the end of 1942, he wins the war. What that's supposed to simulate is that the Allies are being beaten so badly they sue for peace. It's not like quite as gamey as auto win just sounds by the name. Essentially, to get to that, he has to take everything Japan historically took, but then he also has to take Burma. He has to probably take China. And he also has to take Australia or India, one or the other. So if you think about it, like if Australia fell by the end of 1942 and China was crushed by the end of 1942, and, if China was knocked out of the war and Australia was lost, there's a pretty reasonable chance that the Allies may have capitulated. It's 2x at the end of 42. Corner, and then to win auto victory at the end of 43 he needs, it's 3x at the end of 42, 2x at the end of 43. So he's finally 38 units arrived at Loyang. Good God, I don't think there's any way we can hold here. We've got 3 fortifications, but we don't have enough supplies. And if these guys flank and get behind us... Now, we did issue orders for some of these guys to pull back, right? Yeah, so some of these units are pulling back to guard our rear. Other units here are set to rest, so we might need to change them over to combat before we send the turn back. Okay. Yicheng we retook from them at a heavy cost, but we did at least get like 20,000 supply from there. We've got a pretty hefty amount of supply in Yicheng. It's rebuilding a lot of these units that suffered a lot of casualties. Yeah. Not quite sure what we're going to do. We did repulse an attack at Wencao just a few turns ago, so those guys are getting a little bit of a reprieve there. Meanwhile, he's got quite a few troops here, or we do. Not sure what to do with these guys. Are they moving somewhere? No, they're not moving anywhere. They're just set to move. 1,300 assault strength. It'd be so tempting to move them down here to help crush these guys, but that's just not, it's not going to happen. The balls of the wall way to get auto victories and invade the U.S. West Coast. Is the U.S. West Coast even possible, Tortuga or Belugan? Is that even something that's feasible? Sure, yeah, this is the only reason it's on the map, I guess. But how would they do that? They just don't, like, there's no way they would have the strength to overpower the U.S. West Coast. These are good divisions, like the 41st Infantry Division. Good morale, 40 experience. The 3rd, good experience, good morale. Infantry Regiment, good experience, good morale. Like, how would they even do that? And you could rail everybody to the point they invade. They need to take Pearl Harbor and slaughter everything in the U.S. Navy, I guess. Pearl's not that strong right now. We've only got about 600 assault value there. And I'm looking at pulling some of these other units out and moving them to other bases, but I don't want to weaken it too much. You can see our carrier raid here is coming back. Saratoga's on the way back to Pearl. I don't know why she decided, like, we're going by ourselves. The other guys, like, didn't go directly home. They're over here. Part of me says, like, oh, we should send these guys to the South Pacific, but if we know his Kido Butai's there, and the Enterprise needs some repairs, it's at 9 system damage. But anyway. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do this turn. I think the main things that we're going to focus on is probably, and I'll probably do this off turn because we've already been going for an hour and a half, but probably a little bit of convoy work to get some of the ships moved around or whatnot. We're still pulling some, we've got some tankers here, by the way, that are going to load fuel. We're going to pull that fuel out to Perth. We've been pouring tons of fuel into Perth. And I think that fuel's been disappearing. So it's not just been like spoiling because it has unlimited. No. Yeah. It gets unlimited fuel and oil without spoilage. And its fuel's down to 26,000. So obviously that fuel is moving out via rail. All where to? Not 100% sure. I'm assuming most of it's moving to the East Coast, to the Australian industry in the East Coast, which we haven't shut off. You can see Sydney here has over about 100,000 fuel. Melbourne has 118,000. Newcastle, 7,000. Brisbane, 67,000. Yeah, so you can see we're pulling fuel out in that direction. We're also unloading some fuel here. We got 20,000 fuel coming ashore at Townsville. The Australian industry eats a lot of fuel, per my understanding, but we've already put more than 200,000 fuel into Perth via directly from the Dutch East Indies in just a month. So that should help. Australia gets a whole bunch of troops too. That's good. A WC has to happen by mid-42. What's that? WC being West Coast Gambit. Yeah, I don't know. We also have about 30 fighter aircraft, some of the Flying Tigers that we pulled out of Singapore and moved to Balikpapan here to guard the tankers. We just got 10,000 fuel on board these guys that's going for Australia. So you can see Balikpapan is down to 31,000 fuel. The island of Java is basically stripped to the bone. It barely has enough fuel to continue the operations it needs to operate. I think there's probably a total of like 20,000 fuel on the entire island of Java. We pulled most of our fuel out of there. The one rich target fuel-wise that he has, Singapore a little bit, just because I can't really risk getting tankers that far north, so there's about 50,000 he'll take there.
But the one rich target that he can still take is Palembang. We shut down the oil refineries in Palembang, at least to be an asshole to him, so that when he takes it, he's going to get a lot of oil, but he's going to have to ship all that oil back. 240,000 oil at Palembang. That keeps piling up. But it had up to 200,000 fuel at one point. Now that's down to 96,000. I can't get tankers this far north. Oh, shit. That was a mistake. These tankers were supposed to be heading to Balikpapan, but then I just kind of sat them here when I saw you had subs there, and I was kind of parceling tankers in. I didn't realize they got this far. Yikes. Are they detected? There's no detection on them, though. That's interesting. Part of me wants to, if I could send them in, that's a lot of victory value moving. Definitely in range of Bettys and Nels. But they could take 41,000 fuel out of Palembang right away. That part of me is of that mindset, Jack. It's like, I think that's in range, Belugan. You don't think that? I think it's in range for his aircraft at Kota Baru and Taipang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, 16 is in range. Kota Baru is a level 4 airfield, or level 6 airfield. Taipang is only level 3, but at least Kota Baru is in range. Now, Kuantan is the risk. He's going to take that next turn, so it can't hit us this turn. He's damaged it too much to the point where he won't be able to fly ops right away. So we probably have enough time to get these guys into port next turn, filling them up with fuel, and get them out in like 2 days, and they might have time. I do have fighters. Most of them are beat to the dirt trying to keep Singapore open. A lot of bad ops situations up there. But we do have some fighters up there, I think, somewhere. We pulled the B-17s back to Palembang. It's actually a pretty rich air target at Palembang. But here's the thing. He hasn't even knocked Singapore out. That's the other thing, is we have 65 fighter aircraft. 64 fighter aircraft at Singapore still. Singapore's airfield is operating at 100%. We still have almost 40 Buffaloes, and then we've got another 20 P-40s. We did have these additional 30 aircraft that we moved to Balikpapan. We still had 100 fighter aircraft at Singapore as of a couple of days ago, with no air damage at all. So he's not doing a very good job of pounding Singapore. In fact, he's not even hitting the port, which we've used to save. We had a couple of submarines that were about to sink, and we were able to save them because we just moved them into port at Singapore. It's like a frontline repair yard, which is really nice because we've been saving a couple of subs that way. Send the Dutch. The Dutch can go to Singers or go to Palembang. I mean, I had been flying the Dutch fighters here over Singapore. That's why their systems damage, or that's why so many of them are beat up. But, and then we've got the Hermes off the coast over here, just in the event that he decides to get bold and send his cruisers for Balikpapan again. There's also going to be a cap trap if he tried to go for the Hermes. Do we have any swordfish that can be used? No replacement swordfish. Got 6 albacores. Okay, so I guess I'll send the tankers in. That'll allow us to more easily directly pull fuel out of Palembang. Might actually require us to turn the refineries back on. But I'd love to have him be forced to send all that fuel back. You can see here at Oosthaven, we've got 26,000 fuel, mostly railed south from Palembang. We've kind of been siphoning fuel out from Palembang out through Oosthaven. So we've got, these guys have 24,000 fuel loaded up,
They're almost completely loaded. They're going to bring another 25,000 south to Australia. I haven't had a single tanker task force arrive to Australia yet from the U.S., and that's despite the fact that Australia's industry is still on. That's because I've basically been fueling Australian industry with DEI oil. No, Jack. I'm not going to move the Hermes to deal with New Caledonia. One, the Hermes is way up here. New Caledonia is at least a week's sail time away, all the way down here. Two, the Hermes has 15 aircraft on board right now, versus over 400 reported aircraft with the Kido Butai. That would be a bad idea. Yes, he can turn the refineries on, Parmer, after he takes it, but the issue is the refineries are going to suffer some damage when he takes it, and two, the refineries are also going to they're going to suffer damage, and two, there's going to be such a massive glut of oil. The refineries aren't going to be able to keep, he's basically going to have to either commit to leaving 200,000 oil that he could be refining back at the home islands to take a year to be refined into fuel, because he's still going to be producing oil, and he's still going to be producing, needing to refine that. So you can see there the difference is the refinery is at 1,020, the oil's at 900. That only gives him 120 oil. I think that's a day difference between refinery and oil. So so what would that be? If you have 120 split, that would make it take you, I'm assuming it's a 1-to-1 conversion, although I could be wrong on that. That means that you would take 230 days, well, not 230, but over 200 days to basically a year to refine all that. The refinery will take damage, so when he takes it, the game simulates it. Our recon on Miri indicates that he has suffered almost 60% damage to the oil refinery and the oil facilities here. You can see this is a couple of days old, but when we had our B-17s over Miri, they got a look at the refineries, and they said 112 are producing, 189 are damaged, 130 of the refineries are producing, 188 are damaged. Now, that number may not be perfect, but it does give a good illustration that the refinery and the oil there is very heavily damaged, and I think it usually only repairs at 1 per day. It might repair more quickly if he brings engineers in, but in any event, that's some pretty hefty damage and loss of production there on those facilities. You can see Brunei is also operating at less than 50%. Oh, okay. So the oil converts some of it to supply. Huh. Or 18 fuel. Okay. But it still converts 1-to-1. It takes, if it's 1,020 refinery, it takes 1,020 oil, and then it converts it to, 800 fuel and 200 supply. So that's why people use the Palembang fortress strategy, which I'm not, because I think that's a little bit gamey. But that's why I'm digging in with the troops I have, but I'm not sending in American troops here at Palembang, because that feels a little gamey, because essentially you've just never run out of supply. Then you will always have supply at Palembang because you produce it. Okay. Anything you guys want to see? I think I'm going to someone post the War in the Pacific resource chart. It's PhD level. Yeah, I know the tracker is something that I have that I need to be using more religiously. But there's a really good Excel program. I think it's an Excel program that kind of keeps track of all resources in every base and all that. Well, I did attack Midway Lightning last turn. I bombed Midway. My carriers did that. Not much damage. Doesn't look like there were any ships in port. But if any of you guys have any other questions, I'd love to answer them or kind of show you some stuff. Otherwise, I think the next plan is going to be, this next turn is mostly going to be passive. It's going to be running these cruisers as fast and far away as possible, getting a lot of this shipping out of the way,
and then kind of holding pat in most of the rest of the turns. I don't have a lot of convoy updates. Most of my ships didn't arrive yet. I've got large numbers of ships at sea or convoys at sea that are moving around, but nothing currently that is needing me to change. We can see here we do have some shipping at Pago Pago that is unloading horribly inefficiently because I don't have enough docks. Air transport actually just arrived, it looks, or no, those arrived a couple turns ago. So we've got the 18 Warhawks there. Yeah, I don't have a lot to report or to change at the moment. No, Jack, I've got nothing. I mean, the Allies have nothing that can contend with the Kirubutai task force at this stage in the war. Even if I brought all 4 of my fleet carriers and even added the Hermes, we would get obliterated. A full fleet-on-fleet engagement against the Japanese Kirubutai at this point in time is just off the table. I mean, if he divides his carriers, if we stumble upon his light carriers, if we can get an area where we can get an advantage, then sure. But outside of that, the main effort is to avoid the Kirubutai with as much as we can, get as much out of the way, and just limit the damage it can do. How do you get MacArthur off the Philippines? Is he still in charge over there? Douglas MacArthur is in charge. I mean, how do I get him off the Philippines? I could just switch him. It would cost a lot of political points, I think. Who was the guy who got put in charge? Was it any of these guys? It was a major general, right? He switches off automatically, Belugan? Yeah, okay. If he switches off automatically, I don't want to spend 200 political points to move him because that would just bankrupt my political points. So we won't do that because apparently he just goes away on his own. The interesting thing, though, is that we still have Admiral Kimmel in charge of the Pacific Fleet. And I would really love to put Chester Nimitz in charge. But that would cost 100 political points. And I don't want to spend 100 political points because we only have 525 right now. So I'd rather not do that at the moment. Unless he automatically switches off too. But I thought that would have occurred before January 10th. I don't know, Belugan. You're telling me these things are happening automatically. It's already January 10th. Explain yourself. 200 is a lot, yeah. So, like, if we wanted to, one of the things that we need to think about doing is, like, the 108th Infantry Regiment. First off, it can be formed into an infantry division, so we want to do that as much as we can, along with these other guys who are incredibly expensive. I made some mistakes of not turning all these guys' replacements off, but this infantry regiment's going to cost 700 political points to change out of a restricted HQ to an HQ I can do something with. And I also made the mistake of not turning off replacements for the 160th and the 185th as well. So they're off now, but both these guys are going to cost over 700 political points to open up for our troops. So I would love to form the 40th Infantry Division, for example, and go fortify an island with it, but I don't have the points to do that. Oh, the command goes away and turns to Pacific Fleet? Okay. Meanwhile, we do have some units we could change over. So the 2nd USMC Tank Battalion, turn replacements off for him too. This can turn over. We have enough points there to change these tanks to an unrestricted headquarters unit and move them somewhere. I don't have the transports in place to do it yet, though, so I'm not going to do it quite yet. I'll save the points. The 2nd Marine Regiment also... theoretically, we'd have enough points to either do one or the other. We can't do both. And the 2nd Marine is actually part of the 2nd Marine Division, which we already have the 8th Marines on Pago defending there. The 2nd Marines are here at San Diego, and the 2nd USMC is already assigned to the Pacific Fleet out of Pearl Harbor. The only thing is we can't build the whole 2nd Marine Division until the 6th Marines arrive in about 4 months. But once they arrive, we could combine all these guys into a single division and have a really strong force there in about 4 months.
So we're not going to do any of that right now. We're just going to kind of continue banking our political points. Let's take one last look at our pilots. We've lost 108 killed in action so far, 118 wounded, 14 MIA. We have 4 aces. D.L. Oberst of the 17th Pursuit Squadron, flying P-40Es. G.H. Armstrong, also 5 kills, flying the P-40E of the 17th Pursuit Group. J.L. Brownwell, also 5 kills of the 17th Pursuit Group. We have 3 aces in the 17th Pursuit Group. If we jump to that group has 6 planes flyable. They have almost more aces than they have planes flyable. That group also has 25 pilots and only 6 planes from which to pilot them. So fatigue will probably never be an issue. I was tempted to say, like, maybe we should convert them to Airacobras so we have enough aircraft for them to kind of get into action. It's an interesting idea. I think they're still based out of Singapore. The problem is his bombers all come in at high altitude, and the Airacobra is terrible at high altitude. But it would be an interesting idea to convert some of them, because then we could move, probably not this group, because these guys are flying, or no, they're flying E's, right? Or are they flying B's? I can't even tell. Yeah, they're flying E's. So we could move those 6 E's over into another squadron of E's, strengthen that squadron, and then bring in 16 Airacobras and increase our overall strength by 16 aircraft. The problem is the Airacobra is terrible at high altitude. Who's the best pilot? Does it... Obert is number 1, I guess. Although not in terms of experience. In terms of experience, our best pilot is good old Pappy. That is Pappy Boyington, right? He has 2 kills. He's flying with the first squadron of the AVGs. Those guys are now in Balikpapan. He's got 85 experience. Yes, Neuhauser, the 17th Pursuit Group is the Aces of Aces squadron. No, not group. Actually, sorry. The 24th Pursuit Group, 17th Pursuit Squadron. So it's a subdivision of the 24th. They're based out of Singapore. We've also got BC Foshi of the AVG Squadron. Yeah, Captain Shipwreck, this is a very in-depth game. Wilhelm Folk, thank you very much for the follow. I do apologize, my notifications are turned off at the moment. That was a misstep on my part at the start of the stream, but I do see that you followed the channel about 4 minutes ago, about 5 minutes ago now. So thank you very much for the follow, and welcome to, I don't know what we call this group. Welcome to the History Nerds, or whatever. The Historical Gamers streaming channel. I need like a catchy title. Someone I follow on who does some more mainstream stuff always refers to his group as the Dog Pound. Nerds unsubbed. Sorry. What do you mean? It's not. It's the 24th Pursuit Group / 17th Pursuit Squadron. There are other units within that, aren't there? Aren't like all the fighter groups there? All the fighter squadrons at Singapore, aren't they all part of the 24th Pursuit Group? Yeah, all these guys are part of the 24th Pursuit Group. There's just different squadrons within the group. The War Council. This is the War Room, gentlemen. There is no fighting in here. You can't fight in here. This is the War Room. But he was going to take pictures of the big board. All right. That's enough of me talking. I guess one other question for you guys, as the War Council advises. We know he has 1 regiment that's coming ashore. It's definitely stronger than 500 men, but it's about 70 assault value. We have this force here at Kaigan. We have 442 assault value available here. We don't have a ton of supply. Currently, we're set to bombard. We did quite a bit of damage bombarding him last turn. Part of me wonders if it would make sense to do an attack against his troops there, to see if we can overrun or at least make them combat non-effective. The only worry I have is I'm going to take casualties myself if I do that. A deliberate attack is the safe route. A shock attack would give us our best chance of overrunning them, but it would also give us a huge disproportionate loss in casualties. What do you guys think we should do? 200 IQ? What?
Anybody, this is the last thing we're going to decide on as a group before we don't shock attack. Okay, fine. So we'll go to deliberate attack then. We'll see if we can overrun them. We're going to burn through a lot of our supply. That's the main concern with the attack. But if I can, it would be great to badly damage a regiment of his and inflict some casualties. This base is going to fall no matter what, but if we can wreck one of his regiments, that may have other impacts further down the line when he looks for troops to launch attacks with. I'm also going to try and move back to Zambogina. Maybe he left it unoccupied. Got some Dutch subs over here. Maybe we can move them in to try and knock those Japanese cruisers. If the terrain is bad, just defend. That's cloud cover. It's rough terrain, Belugan, which means he gets a 2 assault or a 2 defense benefit. So it's not a huge, it's not urban, it's not forest and jungle, but it's also not plain. So it's kind of a mixed bag terrain-wise. I think I'm still going to go for the attack. I'll think about it before I send in my turn. But I'd like to try and wreck a regiment. We've wrecked a few so far in the war, mostly in China, where we've gotten a couple of local counterattacks. These guys are going to get driven back. Yeah, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll attack here at Cagayan. We'll begin the withdrawal from Mersing. We'll leave the guys in combat formation just in case he attacks. Should pull these Blenheims out as well. I think we'll pull these bombers back to Tavoy. And then from Tavoy, we'll pull them back to Rangoon. I don't even know why. Like, is there a reason I've got these troops at Mulman? I'm not defending forward at Mulman. Stop that. I can't really hold anything there. It's a decent airfield. There is a garrison requirement. That's the only reason I still have those troops there, isn't it? I don't want to get the penalty. Base force, Blenheims. Yes, Neuhauser, they were Blenheims that were based out of Meaden that we pulled back. .63s. We'll pull these guys south because he keeps bombing Meaden. Move them to Palembang. Because the airfield here is basically non-operable. 62 runway damage. Yeah. So I think that was the gist of the turn. This is a long stream. I didn't finish my turn. I've got a few things I need to do off camera, but I need to kind of sit back and think about this a little bit. Big ship battle off the coast of New Caledonia. I'll probably have to break the stream into maybe 2 episodes. Maybe we'll send him the turn after tomorrow, so we'll post one tomorrow and then post another when we send the turn. And then so big ship battle off of the coast of New Caledonia. That's the defining moment of the turn. Not a lot else happened. Oh, we still have this one. We have this one death march going. Why are you going that direction? Do not clear those waypoints. Just go direct and absolute. That's not direct or absolute. What are you doing? Oh, we were going to Tarkin because we needed fuel. That's why we were going to Tarkin. Or Tarakan. All right. So we are moving one lone AKL to Tarakan. And then we're going to try and get 2,000 more fuel into Bataan, because that might buy us some time. I wouldn't say streaming is the norm yet, Charcoal. I'm certainly not going to be streaming everything I do like XTRG does. Oh. There. That's at least better. Wait, why are you going way out to these islands? Do I have it set to coastal? Ugh, don't do that. All right, so clear those, move them to Tarkin, and then set to full refuel. And then they're going to sprint. So they're going to sprint into Tarkin this turn, probably take a little bit of time to refuel. Then after that, they're going to sprint out and straight for Bataan. Nope, you're not going to have turn 35, part 4 or 5. Yeah, so I think that's it. That's it for this turn, guys. Thanks for tuning in for a stream, a monumental battle that took over a half an hour to watch the results off the coast of New Caledonia. Good news, we sank a Japanese light cruiser and a Japanese tender ship. Good news also, we didn't take that much damage. We did lose a light cruiser and a destroyer of our own, but on the net, that was a very successful turn. And if these cruisers can make it out, which is a big if, because we got the kitty boutais steaming down their neck, but if these guys can get out, then I think this is an unqualified victory, because not only did we sink the Japanese light cruiser and the Japanese AV, but we also had to use up probably all of the ammunition on those battleships and on those heavy cruisers, or if not all, then enough of the ammunition so that they're not really going to be able to like bombard or do anything like that. So they're going to have to fall all the way back to truck, I think, in order to rearm. I don't think Japan gets AEs this early in the war. And they also suffered some damage. Like some of those ships, some of those heavy cruisers, they suffered some fire damage. So they're going to be out of action probably for at least a week or two repairing, if not more. Who knows? But that being said, guys, I do appreciate you all tuning in. I want to thank you guys for the huge number of subscribers that joined us today. I really do appreciate the support, and I hope you guys are enjoying the series as it continues. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. So until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.